where are we exactly? I asked because someone, presumably Tails, clearly had to tell Sonic to go to a specific location where the birthday party was being held, but there doesn't seem to be anything that sticks out so that Sonic could arrive. Did they just tell him, hey Sonic, I need you to go to the woods and look for the rest of our friends under a tree. Don't ask what we're doing there on a day that's obviously your birthday, just get there.
Well, you clearly saw that Sonic followed Tails here, so where this is doesn't really matter if he just followed Tails.
He'll be here any second.
That being said, maybe Sonic followed Tails. In that case, Tails saying that Sonic would arrive any second is cheating regarding the fact he knows he's following him. And if Sonic weren't following him, Tails most certainly would not beat him in a foot race. That Sonic Adventure shit, we were all cheating, taking shortcuts Sonic couldn't take.
First of all, Tails wasn't cheating at all. He was warning his friends so they could get ready for the surprise. Second, you actually answered yourself there. Tails was taking shortcuts then, so who's to say he wasn't taking shortcuts now?
Surprise!
Cake with the Sonic Team logo without any candles or any indication of how old Sonic is today. I don't think even Sonic's friends know how old he is.
Sonic's age has always been 15. This is an intentional choice from the devs to keep Sonic the same age.
Also, missed opportunity, Sega. You totally could have had Rouge come out of a big-ass cake a la Marilyn Monroe and finally give the fans the furry lap dance some of them want. Assuming Sonic turns 20, that would be the ideal present. Assuming he turns 16, that would still be the ideal present.
I'm actually fine with Rouge being the one to do it, and also as Sonic was 20, but 16? Unless you live in one of the states that allows that, I wouldn't go that far. Not to mention, children play these games, and there are children currently at the party, so you're gonna have to find your furry lap dance elsewhere.
This is the only other instance we ever see Knuckles interact with Rouge in the main series after Heroes. Oddly enough, not fighting over the Master Emerald. Speaking of which, what the fuck are you doing here, Knuckles? Did you just forget about guarding it, or do you just not care anymore?
To answer the first sin, Knuckles and Rouge weren't in the other mainline games over the 06 and 06 isn't canon. They wouldn't have had the chance to interact. And to answer the other two, it's Sonic's birthday. They're gonna put the differences and duties aside for the day to celebrate with their friend.
Wait, Rush is canon?
Why wouldn't it be canon? I get that some people consider side games to not be canon, but that doesn't mean that they can't be canon at all. Blaze was in Black Knight after all.
It's kind of impossible to surprise you.
You totally got me this time. I had no idea.
Can't tell if telling the truth or sarcasm.
Well, if you examine his tone, he sounds like he was genuinely surprised. It's Tails who doesn't quite believe that.
Also, it took you this long to figure out you could just do that to Amy?
Before now, Sonic has been caught off guard by Amy and on his way to another place. Right now he wants to enjoy his party with his friends, but also not to get squeezed by Amy, so he's going to kindly keep her away from now.
Hey! Not cool!
Any particular reason Sonic didn't get sucked in but the rest of his friends did? I mean, I know that that's the plan and all, but they all got sucked in at the same time and Sonic took it like a champ. Was the vacuum just selective? You can't tell me it was powerful enough to suck in Vector and not Sonic.
Charriii answers himself, cliché.
I thought I was dead, floating without a body in a black limbo. Ugh, I'm gonna have nightmares for weeks.
Wait, you mean you were conscious during that shit? How?
You know, not every question needs to be answered, as some things are better left unexplained. And if you're instant on it, Tails was frozen in time by the time meter. His body couldn't move, but his conscious wasn't affected, so he would remain conscious, albeit in a void.
Is it me, or is that place we were just in awfully familiar?
Okay, first off, what do you mean we? Tails was clearly outside while you went through Green Hill. Second, how do you not remember Green Hill? I know it's been over 20 years, but isn't it assumed that you revisit this place a lot?
Again, you're answering yourself. It's been 20 years since it was last in Green Hill. Sure, there are imitators like Sunset Hill, but even if you took those into account, it's still been a very long time since it was last there. Plus, we don't know where Sonic lives, so how can we make any assumptions?
No stranger than rescuing genies in magic books or saving aliens in an interstellar amusement park.
Wait, the storybook series is canon too?
Again, I know that some people consider spin-offs non-canon, but there's always the chance that some could be canon. Sonic's dialogue basically proves that.
You're right, Tails. This place is giving me deja vu all over again.
Deja vu all over again? Do you mean the first time was Green Hill? I'm sorry, it's just that it feels wrong when you put it like that.
How? Sonic clearly had deja vu in Green Hill, so his word choice makes sense here. I don't know how you're confused.
Thank you, Sonic. Wow, you look younger every day. What's your secret?
Amy isn't trying to glomp Sonic in this scene.
Eventually Amy would do that, but now she's dialed back her Mega Crush to where she wouldn't do it in certain situations.
Thanks, Sonic. You did a good job back there. Hey, did you gain weight?
Knuckles is a dick to Sonic. Well, classic Sonic to be precise.
It's not so much that he's being rude, it's more like a brass observation, which is fitting coming from the Knucklehead.
How come Knuckles is relatively nice to classic Sonic, telling him he did a good job, but such a dick to modern Sonic by telling him he didn't need his help, even though he clearly did?
That's another part of Knuckles' character. Even though he still is complimenting Sonic, just in a backhanded kind of way.
I know he notices something, but has Sonic never seen his reflection before?
Why would you ever assume that? You know Sonic is noticing something despite the glasses distortion, so why would that translate to, has Sonic never seen his reflection before?
Another Sonic? What?
To be fair, there's a new Sonic every anniversary title. Adventure 2 had Shadow and No 6 had Silver. Aren't you used to imposters by now?
Shadow was only mistaken for Sonic. He still looks completely different, and the only one that mistook Silver for Sonic was Amy. No one else did that. Classic Sonic literally is Sonic, so Sonic's reaction is justified.
Isn't the Death Egg supposed to explode by now?
In Sonic 2, yes, but time is being altered in this game, so past events aren't going to be exactly as they were in previous games.
Speaking of the Death Egg, back in my day, that bitch took like 16 hits to beat, and we had to do it with no rings. Kids these days get it too easy.
Oh, don't be whiny. The OG Death Egg robot may be harder, but given how many times they've re-released the classic games, it's not like they can't experience the OG. Even then, whether or not they hate it like you do is ultimately up to them.
Can't believe there's two of me.
Well, technically it's just one of you from different time periods.
In that sense, sure, but in a physical sense, it's still two separate Sonics in the same space. So Sonic is still right.
Suddenly classic Tails.
To be fair, there wasn't any other places you could really show off classic Tails, and having him show up now, later during the Adventure and Modern eras, wouldn't make any sense.
Why is it that Classic Tails speaks and Classic Sonic doesn't? To my knowledge, Classic Tails never spoke, and Sonic at least had that one line in CD. Was Jaleel White that hard to get?
Now, I'm not going to say whether or not Classic Sonic should talk, as that matter is ultimately subjective, but I am going to explain why. Classic Sonic doesn't talk because, like you said, he never talked during the Genesis games, and the one time he did was a non-canon Easter egg. As for Classic Tails, admittedly this one hasn't been confirmed, but I'm still going to throw this out there. The likely reason is because A, they wanted to provide a perspective from the classic side of things, and B, it'd be too restrictive for Sonic and Tails to have dialogue with two mute characters. This game's dialogue isn't the greatest as is. Imagine if neither classic character spoke.
Okay, and that did...
This limbo is the place between time and space. It has to travel through here to get where it needs to go, and it might as well scare them while it's here.
Classic Sonic, Classic Tails, Classic Eggman, Classic Metal Sonic, but no Classic Amy or Classic Knuckles. Why?
Because those two don't have a place in the story. Classic Sonic and Tails are there for obvious reasons, Classic Metal Sonic serves as a rival boss fight, and Classic Eggman is the main villain alongside modern Eggman. Where would Classic Amy and Knuckles be?
Wait, this is the start of Speedway Bad Future. Does this mean that canonically Sonic fucks up?
No, the Time Eater pulled the bad timeline into this void. The good timeline is the canon one.
Thanks, Big Blue. That's the first time I've ever been stolen.
Big Blue? Oh, come on, don't tell me Chronicles is canon too.
Relax, Chronicles isn't canon. That's just Rouge being flirty. Trust me, they wouldn't dare try to make Chronicles canon while Kenders is still alive.
Now that I think about it, any particular reason you gave Sonic that nickname, Rouge? Is there, something you guys aren't telling us?
Again, she was flirting with him. Charriii5’s characterization cliche.
Again, what's the point of that?
See Sin 27.
I guess we have to run like there's no tomorrow, or there won't be a tomorrow.
Technically, there isn't even a today. I mean, you guys are clearly in a dimension that transcends space and time, so, yeah.
Sonic met in the world outside the void. Sure, in the void time is non-existent, but in their world, time could be erased forever.
I get why Rouge can do that. She is a bat after all. But how are you doing that? You're a chameleon. Or is it because you're a ninja? I've seen ninjas do some shit, but never defy gravity. Unless, of course, you're Sly Cooper. Did you read the Thievius Raccoonist too?
This is the part of the cartoonish nature of the Sonic world. Learn to suspend your disbeliefs already. Also, Charriii makes a video game rep.
You're doing great,
Whoa!
Sonic.
Wait, shouldn't that have ripped apart the space-time continuum or something?
Relax, that would only be true outside the void and if the same person from different times touched each other. Plus, not every universe deals with time travel the same way.
You mean you're doing great, Sonics?
Well, in all fairness, they're still the same guy. Your doing great Sonic could apply to both since they're one and the same. Plus, who's to say one isn't doing better than the other?
Yes, but there's still two people attempting to restore time. It's clearly working, so both are doing just as good.
That monster sure didn't like that emerald. Those things have come in handy in the past.
Come in handy? You say that like, yeah, it's nice to have them. Need I remind you that ever since Sonic Adventure, and technically Sonic 3, you've needed those things? Sure, not in colors, but saying that they've come in handy is the understatement of the century.
These characters are always casual about these situations, and they only take it seriously when things get bad enough. This is who they are. So Tails saying that the emeralds have come in handy in the past is perfectly fine for him to say.
An adventure's no fun if it's too easy.
Sonic 06 and Secret Rings would like to have a word with you.
That implies that Secret Rings in 06 are fun because they're too easy. I don't know what world you're living in, but here in this world, too easy is the last thing anyone would call those games.
Exactly why are you here and why are we fighting? Couldn't you just give me the damn 4th Chaos Emerald? We are friends, right?
I wouldn't call Sonic and Shadow friends. Friendly rivals, but not friends exactly. As for why, Shadow's challenging Sonic for shits and giggles.
That was very scary, but being with you makes it all better. Yeah! Hey, you look different.
Even classic Sonic doesn't like Charriii. I mean, I guess having to hear that you look different from a bunch of people you don't even know yet does get annoying after a while.
I was scared because somebody took me, but now I'm free! I'm a freebie! 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 Whee!
And to this day, modern Sonic still thinks he's annoying.
First, Charriii answered himself cliche.
And second, is that so? Tell me then, in what moment after this game, or even before this game, does Sonic consider Charriii annoying? Go ahead, I'll wait.
Okay, what the fuck? Sonic 06 never happened. And even if it did happen, this fight never did. Silver and Sonic were never in Crisis City at the same time. What, even Sonic Team knew that this Oleana fight was shitty? Even so, why are we fighting?
1. 06 still exists in an alternate timeline. The time meter pulled it from that timeline. 2. This isn't the same fight from 06. This is a completely new fight. Also, Sonic and Silver were in Crisis City at the same time. They just never encountered each other. And 3, the reason for the fight is because Silver isn't sure if Sonic is actually here or it's a creation from the monster, so he's fighting him just in case.
I can't believe this! I was supposed to beat you this time!
Well, maybe if you'd used the strategy you used last time, you would have.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change.
You're not in a position to demand anything, you nasty little pincushion!
Eggman! But how?
Yeah, how? You trying to control a force beyond your ken never works.
Eggman has finally learned from his mistake. That's character growth for you.
Dr. Robotnik!
Nobody calls me that anymore!
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Maybe in our world, but in Sonic's world, nobody does.
Speaking of which, doesn't this mean that he accepted the name Eggman far before Adventure 2? This would probably screw up a bunch of things in the timeline.
What difference does a name change make in the grand scheme of the timeline? Eggman's still going to go through with lots of his schemes. The only thing that would be a difference is his name, and that's not going to change much, if anything at all.
Undo my previous defeats!
Leaving Orbot and Cubot in the vast reaches of space. Eggman is a dick to his own creations.
Well, for 1, he's evil. For 2, they're useless anyways, and he can always build another 2, or even go back to them with a time meter.
I needed the help of somebody as smart as I am! The only person that smart is me.
This is something that has never made sense to me in time travel stories when you team up with your own self. Meeting yourself doesn't mean twice the brain. On the contrary, you're meeting up with someone who knows less than you yourself do. How is that at all useful?
Actually, it does mean twice the brain power. Granted, at first, classic Eggman wouldn't know as much, but once modern Eggman catches him up, he can help all he wants.
I love this crazy laugh, but what on earth do you think Mike Pollock's direction was? Yeah, Mike, in this scene, Eggman lets out a crazy laugh, so start out normal and then go batshit insane.
Charriii sends something he likes, cliche.
That was just to soften you up.
You mean that didn't kill them?
Of course not. You've seen how tough Sonic is. This shouldn't be a surprise anymore.
You got this, Sonic.
So I guess encouragement from Sonic's friends warrants a sin? I understand that every single character gives out that encouragement, but it's not like they all say the exact same thing.
Do it, Sonic!
Come on, Sonic! Smack him! You got this, Sonic.
You can win, Sonic.
You've got the power, Sonic.
Focus your spirit.
We're with you guys! I believe in you, Sonic!
Don't give in, Sonic.
I know you can do this, Sonic!
You can win, Sonic! You always do!
Why aren't any of you assholes gonna help me?
Obviously, they can't do anything against the time meter. If the Sonics got smacked so easily, they won't be able to do much else.
Something I don't understand is, why weren't Silver and Shadow at the party to begin with? More specifically, why wasn't Shadow? Silver's excuse, if we're following the canonical timeline that is that he lives in the future and never even met Sonic. Come to think of it, this story suggests that he does know who Sonic is, but that makes no sense considering the ending of Sonic 06. Unless this is a Silver from Rivals, which makes even less sense. This story is trying to tell me that Rush, Rivals, and 06 were all canonical at the same time, which still doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm all for believing that Rivals and Rush are canon at the same time, say for Blaze being here for some reason when she lives in another dimension, and, you know, Eggman Nigga being either from the future or another dimension, but the fight with Silver, if we're to believe Rivals is canon too, makes even less sense considering that the future is supposed to be fixed, yet for some reason Crisis City still exists. Saying that the Time Meter brought it back still doesn't explain it. They erased Solaris from existence, so it never could happen at all, so what gives?
Again, 06 is still alive in another timeline. The Time Meter can control time throughout all timelines. It found the timeline where 06 did happen and dragged it into the void. I don't know why Shadow and Silver weren't there, especially since Blaze is here and she lives in another dimension, but there is a reason for why Crisis City still exists.
I'll admit, you weren't half bad, Sonic.
Half bad? Are you kidding?
Whoa, that's some arm you got, Amy.
Charriii points out things on the screen, cliche.
He collects how?
I never noticed it until now, but Modern scratches his head as if to be embarrassed by Amy. Classic is just surprised. Does he not know who Amy is yet? It's never said when Classic Sonic is from, clearly not Sonic 1 because he knows Tails by now, but Sonic CD happens between Sonic 1 and 2. Chronologically, CD came out a year after 2, yes, but canonically it's said to have happened sometime between 1 and 2. Another thing to note is that Classic Eggman doesn't question who Knuckles and Amy are. Does Classic just not recognize Amy in her modern design?
Or he's just surprised at Amy's strength. I don't know where you got the other stuff from.
Collects how many? Wow, where does somebody put all those gold rings? You know what? I don't know. I keep forgetting to ask.
How do you forget to ask something so bizarre?
That's the joke. You suck, McBain!
This isn't the first time that something like this happens in the series, but how do you learn something by just watching someone else do it?
It's not as hard as you think. People learn how to fight by watching other people doing it. What do you think the karate teachers are doing?
Hey, Sonic! Enjoy your future! It's gonna be great!
Charriii, of course, sends this line because of the amount of bad games Sonic had before Generations, but to be fair, Sega thought they had the franchise in a good spot at that point, and the fans felt the same way too. They may have had some bumps in the road, but they eventually got to a good spot.
Well, I know it was one of us. Shut up and keep looking.
I hear sound effects, but I don't hear arguing.
You don't need to hear the argument. It's just for a joke.
Why do I hear wind? Isn't this place supposed to be empty?
Wind is meant to signify emptiness, and it's used to give off that feeling, particularly in voids, and works most of the time.
Don't get too self-righteous. It'll be your plan pretty soon. I'm gonna dedicate the rest of my life to forgetting it.
Breaking the fourth wall.
This ain't a fourth wall break. It's classic Eggman whispering to himself.
Do we ever win?
If you did, neither of you would be in this predicament.
Not necessarily. While yes, a victory could change things, who's to say they wouldn't lose his empire and end up going down this road anyways? There are no absolutes in time.
Depends on your definition of win. Beating Sonic. Oh, well then no.
Also, if you count Riders as being canon, I do, I just like to think that it happens in the future, then yeah, you do win eventually. It's just that your prize is a crappy carpet.
If it does take place in the future, then Eggman wouldn't know about that. So he wouldn't say that he does win.
Looks like a homing shot. Be careful, Sonic! That looks like a homing shot! That looks like a homing shot!
Hey everyone, Tony Sonic here. Thanks for watching the video, and as always, I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Sonic Generations is another truly great Sonic game. In fact, it's considered by many to be the best Sonic game ever made. However, I am not one of those people for two reasons. One, it's piss easy. Like, the game practically hands out S ranks like they're candy. And the other reason is that its story is pretty bad, per se. I get some entertainment here and there, but other than that, it's just a load of nothing. How about you, Preston?
Well, Sonic Generations is a good game, I would say. The boss fight kind of ruins it with, one, I don't know how to beat it, and two, Sonic's friends are shutting up.
Okay then. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave it a like, comment what you thought, and consider subscribing so the channel can keep on going. A big shout out to the Super Hog channel members. And now that we've done 3, or I guess 4, for Everything Wrong List, we're back to yet another ranking. And this time, since we talked about the villains, and we talked about the humans, it's only fitting that we end it now with the heroes. See you next time.